Imagine losing your job, ruining your name forever, and getting kicked out of the very country that feeds you and your family. All because of a childish, arrogant temper tantrum. Well, brace yourself, because karma is brutal, and it is about to collect a massive historic debt from the Argentine national team. Jude Bellingham just dropped a massive bombshell that is currently sending deep shockwaves through the entire Premier League. So listen very closely. He formally demanded that England banish all Argentine players from the league. Yes, you heard that right. It is really happening. The Real Madrid star and England national player did not hold anything back, completely exploding over what he called a humiliating slap to his nation. These players were so arrogant and mocked everyone so much that fate is now delivering a quiet, devastating reality check to their faces. They could end up begging English clubs on their knees, just to avoid getting thrown out onto the street. What exactly did Jude Bellingham say, and why are British authorities already starting to step in and investigate the entire situation? Stick around, because what I am about to tell you today is going to leave you absolutely speechless. This entire firestorm started because of the awful attitude shown by the Argentine players during that tense semifinal match, where Jude Bellingham became a primary target of their constant insulting trash talk, their cheap shots, and especially that smug, endless routine of putting others down that always seems to define them whenever they win. Do you remember that match? Jude looked completely rattled, totally pushed beyond his usual limits, to the point where he shoved an Argentine player out of sheer frustration from watching them drag the game through the mud. Ever since that chaotic moment, the Englishman drew a clear line in the sand with Argentina, and the final straw just dropped during an exclusive interview for an American magazine. The Real Madrid superstar did not pull any of his punches. The interviewer, clearly looking to stir up controversy, he asked if he still held a grudge against the Argentine squad after that scandalous match, and if they deserved a heavy penalty. Anyone else would have given a safe, boring, PR-friendly response like a typical player, but not Jude. He stared straight into the camera and unleashed absolute fire. He said grudges are just part of the game, but allowing cheap shots and insults just to degrade people is totally unforgivable. And pay very close attention here, because this is where things get incredibly intense and real. Jude insisted they did not just insult the players, but humiliated an entire nation, England, ironically the same country where several of those Argentine players actually live. They collect massive million-dollar paychecks and make a living there with complete cold indifference. Then, Jude asked a sharp question that echoed around the globe. If they feel so superior, why do they not go play in their own domestic league? Do they play for the money instead of the passion? Boom. Complete silence. The interviewer froze, quickly trying to use a bit of humor to break the mounting tension, and asked what kind of punishments England should actually hand down. That is when Jude brought out the guillotine. He said if it were up to him, he would cancel all their contracts immediately. Just that bluntly, he argued there are strong legal clauses where clubs clearly state that players cannot insult or bring shame upon their host country or other nations. And according to Jude, there is already more than enough proof to throw them out. If they do not fire them, he demanded a public apology. An apology that, let us be totally brutally honest, an apology would utterly shatter their massive egos and that intense arrogance that prevents them from seeing past their noses. But wait, because things get much worse. The interviewer asked if it would not be a terrible financial move for English clubs to simply fire them like that. Ultimately, they are multi-million-dollar assets. Terminating them would mean paying a massive fortune for breaking contracts. But here Jude proved that besides being a genius on the pitch, he has an incredibly brilliant mind. He replied that yes, clubs would pay them, but only if the players had actually upheld their end of the deal. If they violated the clause regarding respect for England, the club has zero legal obligation to pay them even a single penny in severance. They can kick them out for free and sell them to recoup money. Jude shared a brutal thought. Do you really think any serious club wants to buy this kind of player? They are problematic. They are ticking time bombs. Bringing them into your dressing room means buying endless headaches and media chaos when you want to get rid of them. Still, he did not deny their obvious talent. No one denies they know how to play, but he made it crystal clear that no elite club in the world is interested in players who set a terrible example for society, and clearly do not understand the meaning of fair play. And do you know the worst part for those Argentine players? It is that Bellingham is completely right, and I am going to prove it to you with one specific name, Enzo Fernandez. You have probably heard the massive rumor floating around that Enzo was already packing his bags for a dream move to the mighty Real Madrid. It was hyped up as the signing of the century. But then an interviewer asked Jude Bellingham about it, and his response was a brutal gut punch to all of Argentina. Honestly, that is just not going to happen, Jude declared flatly. At Real Madrid, our absolute highest value is always respect, and he has not forgotten how Enzo deeply insulted his teammate Eduardo Camavinga. Bellingham was absolutely ruthless. He said if Enzo does not issue a full public apology and make a massive permanent change as a person, then not even Madrid, Alaves, or a second division team would ever think about signing him. He completely slammed the door to the pantheon of world football on himself, and honestly, Bellingham was right. Whatever happened to that massive transfer? Absolutely nothing. It was all smoke. Nobody wants him. Not Madrid, not Bayern, and not Barcelona either. His ultimate dream has completely evaporated. The only clubs even asking about him now are mediocre, mid-table teams. Even his own club, Chelsea, had to hand him a temporary suspension because of his completely shameful, classless behavior during the World Cup. And let us not forget that this little angel Enzo had already run a toxic smear campaign, talking trash about his own club before the tournament just to force a move to Madrid. He pushed hard, bit the hand that fed him, and now he is completely stuck in limbo. He is a player valued at 100 million euros that absolutely nobody wants to buy, because far beyond what happens on the pitch, nobody wants to sell the jersey of a guy who does not know how to win, does not know how to lose, and only cares about mocking others. But if you thought losing his chance at Madrid was the absolute bottom of the barrel, hold on tight, because what comes next could seriously reshape the history of modern soccer forever. Jude Bellingham did not just send that message to the media. It was a poisoned arrow aimed straight at British authorities, and it worked. He told them flat out that they must demand respect for the nation that puts food on their tables. He reminded them that if Argentina even has the talent level to win World Cups, it is specifically because their top players developed their skills and grew to that elite level playing in the English league. He called them ungrateful and left them with one final, sharp warning. If they do not like it here, they can just stay in their own country, period. Honestly, the offense was massive, way beyond a simple on-pitch insult. Argentine fans openly booed and disrespected the English national anthem right in the middle of a massive semifinal match, while the actual players, instead of stepping up like real leaders and asking their passionate fans to calm down, they just stood there in complete silence. Even worse, they fueled the fire, making it seem totally acceptable to insult an entire nation of people. There are even viral videos of Argentine fans stomping on British flags in the middle of New York. All of this intense controversy has already reached the very highest political circles in the United Kingdom. The pressure from the media is so intense that the British government is now seriously considering revoking the work visas of all Argentine soccer players currently in the country. You heard that right. They could actually lose their legal permission to even